Welcome, everyone, to Mondays with Michael. So good to be with you. I'm Dr. Michael Gaeta. Greetings to you from Colorado, and a warm welcome to you from wherever you're calling in from, and whatever streaming platform or page that you're viewing us on. A warm welcome to you all. Great to be with everybody. Whatever platform you're on, if you'd like to introduce yourself, let us know where you're calling from. Anything you'd like to share with the group related to our subjects here of natural health and health freedom. We'd love to hear from you. And also, if you're on our watch page at michaelgaeta.com/watch, or if you're on our Zoom link, we'd love to have your questions. Today is a show with just you and me and us together, and we've got an amazing series of remarkable guests coming on the show in the coming weeks. And one of them had to move from today to May. And so that gives us a chance to be together, just us, because for the next several weeks, I think about the next 6 weeks, we've got a series of wonderful guests that are coming in to have a meaningful conversation about these two very important subjects of natural health and health freedom. So, it is good to be together. So we've got a lot of great things to talk about today. And let's see, here we go. There it is. Okay. So this is an offering of the Gaeta Institute for Holistic Health Education. Our motto here, as with the Gaeta Clinic for Chinese and Functional Medicine, is nature first, drugs last. That's kind of our motto around here. And that just means that drugs aren't bad. They're just massively, incredibly overused. And there is a natural solution, at least 95% of the time, for anything anyone might take a prescription drug for. So they certainly have their place. But thankfully, if you know what you're doing or seen a practitioner who knows what they're doing, and most of my week is dedicated to training other practitioners in what I call natural functional medicine, there's a way to make those pharma drugs unnecessary. So I just had a new patient last week, and I said, well, taking a raft of medications, as are most people in the U.S. in their 60s, which she was. And one of the reasons she came in is that she wasn't really getting better. And I said, well, if you could, would you like to make some of these medications unnecessary? She said, absolutely. That's why I'm here, because I don't feel good on all these drugs. He's taking 6 or 7 pharma drugs, some of which were to manage the side effects of the other ones. So the joke is, it's like being a one-legged man at a butt-kicking contest. It's not going to go too well. So anyway, she was delighted to just hear that there's hope. I said, well, if your body's working better, you won't need all these drugs to manage symptoms, which have their place. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why it's drugs last. There's a place for that. It's not a bad thing. It's just an overused thing. So anyway, that's what we're about here. We are coming up. Let's see. We are in March. Yeah, we're coming up on our 6th anniversary of Mondays with Michael. We started this thing on March 18th, 2020, with a couple of classes on the immune system, help have a healthy immune system in the early days of the pandemic. Nobody knew what this thing was. I mean, in the public anyway. And so we did a couple of classes on the immune system. Hundreds of people registered, and we said, well, I think there's an interest here. And then we kind of started finding out what was really going on, and the show just continued from there. And it's been a wonderful journey with all of you. So welcome to show number 305 for this March 2nd. Let's see. Yeah, in 2 weeks, on the 16th, will be our 6th anniversary show. Really delighted for that, and for the ongoing and growing interest in this show. So just a reminder, I'll give you these links. I was just on the Medical Doctors for COVID Ethics International, wonderful group of physicians, just great. And they were we just had a wonderful conversation on that show. I'll give you this link. And also recently on CHD TV again with my friend and fellow health freedom advocate Bernadette Pager, wonderful lady, successful fiction author as well, and I had a great show with her. And then, of course, as many of you saw, I was on Dr. McCullough's show for the fourth time recently, and then he was on our show last week. We had a wonderful conversation, and then we spent the next hour sort of unpacking everything he shared, which is quite remarkable. He's amazing. So anyway, we are in the middle of our sleep course. You're welcome to join us. We have 2 live classes left, and you can use your discount code MWM10 for a 10% discount. And 2 live classes left. Previous classes were recorded with Dustin Strong and myself. It's been a great course. I'm learning a lot from Dustin, as I always do, and I taught the first class. As always, any questions you have, love to hear from you. Just put that right into the chat at michaelgaeta.com/watch, or if you are on our Zoom link, you can also put questions there as well. Those are the 2 places that I can take questions. But if you're on one of the other 7 or 8 platforms we're on, or pages, you can certainly interact with each other there. All right, so with that, I've got a bunch to share. And what's on everybody's mind, understandably, is the ending of a 47-year war with Iran. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I did come across a few things I wanted to share with you that have just been very, just very moving to me. And millions of Iranians around the world have just been in absolute total celebration for this brutal regime that caused them to flee their homeland. 90 million people stayed, but tens of millions of others fled. And kind of like Venezuela. So a lot of folks so here's some exiled Iranian women in the Netherlands who fled Iran, crying tears of joy. And then here's several countries: Australia, Canada, Britain. Pardon the misspelling there of whoever posted that, but just celebrations all over the world of the good people of Persia, of Iran, who are just celebrating the end of a 47-year brutal, repressive, murderous dictatorship. So I just wanted to show you some of the celebrations that are happening around the world of Iranians who are hoping now they have a shot now to reclaim their country and bring it back to its former glory. It was a wonderful, wonderful country. A very free, open, successful, prosperous, jubilant country up until 1979 when the radical bad guys took over. So it's quite a remarkable time. This is a tragic thing. This is a woman who had acid thrown in her face because she didn't follow the strict dress code. So there were, just countless women, just treated like worse than dirt. It's a very, brutal, repressive thing. So I've just been amazing to see all the celebrations all over the world of the great people of Iran originally, who were celebrating the possibility now that they can reclaim their country and bring it back to its former state of freedom and prosperity. It's pretty remarkable, very heartwarming to see all these celebrations all over the world. And it's just been amazing. So I've been very thankful for that. Here's, this is Los Angeles. Thousands of Iranians who fled, again, the regime there over the last 47 years, their families, and who are just celebrating the end of this terrible, terrible, brutal terrorist dictatorship regime. So that's that. And that's about all I had to say about that today. There's lots more we could say, but want to kind of stay on task as much as possible. But did want to let folks know coming up this weekend is the Crazy Wellness Spring Retreat with a focus on sleep coming up this weekend in Mineral Wells, Texas. Those of you who are on our email list for this show got an email this morning about it. And there's a link in there, which I'll also give you here. And it's called the Crazy Wellness Spring Retreat because it's in Mineral Wells, Texas, which is the site of high lithium well water, or spring water, rather, that was called Crazy Water. And it still to this day exists as a product called Crazy Water, which I just drank some of at the seminar that I was at, Strong Seminars from our very own Dustin Strong in Dallas. I got a chance to take that seminar and speak on the panel. Great event. And I got to drink some Crazy Water, which was used back to the 1800s for treating mental illness. And because of its high lithium content and that naturally occurring lithium in the mineral wells springs is quite useful particularly for folks who are deficient in lithium, which is a lot, especially folks with depression, suicidal ideation, which I'm personally familiar with. So that is where the name came from. You're wondering why a wellness retreat would be called Crazy, but that's why. That's why. So here you go. There's a link, and Dustin, who has a great sense of humor, he he put together a discount code called Crazy Gaeta, and that gives you an $800 discount, very generous discount on that retreat. Anyway, if you're around this coming weekend, it'll be a worthwhile retreat, and I guarantee you will get some very good sleep. You'll get some excellent sleep at the upcoming retreat this weekend. So give you folks the link also on the watch page and the Crazy Gaeta $800 discount code. That said, Dust, if you're not able to make it to Mineral Wells, Texas this weekend, definitely make sure you take our course on sleep, which is happening right now. Dustin's going to be covering some of the same material that he's covering in this weekend's retreat in the sleep course. And as always, with my appreciation, enjoy a discount on all of our courses with MWM 10, MWM 10. And so that's been a great course. I think you'll really enjoy that. Previous classes have been recorded. Okay, so that's that. Next up, I wanted to give a couple of exciting updates. Wowie, wowie, kazowie. We have pretty exciting news with a new U.S. Congress bill, which is very exciting, submitted by Dr. Rand Paul, son of the great physician and four-time Congressman Ron Paul is his dad. He's himself an ophthalmologist, I believe, and he just put in a new bill, S3853, which is a long time coming. We have been suffering for 40 years, almost as long as the Islamic regime running Iran. But 1986, actually, no, it's big. No, it's a lot more, a lot older than that. That was 1979. This is 1986, pretty close. This is he introduced a federal bill to strip vaccine manufacturers of nationwide liability immunity. So this was Dr. Andrew Wakefield's movie, 1986, The Act, which I had the privilege of seeing Andrew again when he came to Boulder here for a screening of 1986, The Act, when it came out a few years back. I interviewed him on my radio show at the time. Some of you know I had a radio show from 2009 to 2013. And my last show was in December of 2013. And Andy was my guest on the show, which was really an honor. He got to tell his story of how the medical mafia went after him hard in England, which is now a Muslim police state. England is basically done unless something pretty big changes. But anyway, that's the effects of suicidal empathy, as Dr. Godsod describes it in his recent book. But anyway, Andrew Wakefield's movie, 1986, The Act, and I'm going to just give you a link to that so you can watch it, uses a ironically, California couple who has to make a decision whether to vaccinate or not. And they got to tell the story of this vaccine liability thing. So here's the website, 1986, The Act, and I encourage you to watch it. It was a very well-made movie, I thought. Really got to tell the story, in a powerful way. And it tells the story of how this terrible act was passed by otherwise awesome President Reagan, was kind of pressured by Pfizer, wasn't known, it was Wyeth at the time, into signing this bill into law. And he had concerns about it. And he said, well, why don't you just make the vaccine safer? So you guys are not losing money on every vaccine. Because for every dollar of income, they lost $20 in downstream liability from thousands of lawsuits. Yeah, it's a good question, Dr. Schooler. Yeah, raising a good question in our Zoom chat. I wonder if Reagan had signed this bill before or after he was shot. That's a great question. Wow. But anyway, the vaccine makers threatened to stop making vaccines because it was no longer profitable. They were killing and injuring too many kids. We're dealing with thousands of lawsuits. And they're like, this isn't profitable. So rather than just say, well, okay, stop making vaccines until you can demonstrate safety, and then you don't get sued anymore, they gave them liability. There's only 2 products that I know of, maybe there's others, that the manufacturer is given complete liability for harm done by their products, right? If if you drive a car that's got a defect and the brakes fail and and then this happens like thousands of times of failing brakes, which has happened over the years, not often. The manufacturer is responsible for that defect in the product, but vaccines are immune. Manufacturers have no product liability. Now that might change a bit with some of the vaccines being removed from the recommended schedule. There's some talk about that. But Rand Paul courageously has put forth this bill. Again, it's going to be quite an uphill battle, but just the fact that it was created is a good sign. So here's the I'll give you the there's a few links here on this subject, and then I'll give you the page from Rand Paul himself. But you'll see here, this is S3853. And this would dismantle the long-standing 40 years of liability protection, shielding manufacturers from civil lawsuits in the United States. So this is co-sponsored by Mike Lee in Utah, and really would be an amazing thing. Just the fact that this is happening is a good first step. Again, pharma is the most powerful lobby in Washington. And let's listen to the great Del Bigtree, who is recovering from a skiing injury. He's fractured 4 ribs skiing in Canada with his family at Whistler, which is a great ski mountain. But he wiped out and broke 4 ribs, so he's recovering from that. I'm going to check in with him soon, see how he's doing. But he's back from Europe, and this is a short excerpt from the High Wire on this very important bill. So let's take a look. Make sure this is here. And the awesome investigative journalist Jeffrey Jackson, who's a regular feature on the High Wire. Let's hear what he has to say.
One of the most loved bills is this one here, Rand Paul, S3853. Hold Big Pharma accountable. Vax giants are sure to be nervous about Rand Paul's new bill. This ends the liability exemption. So they're allowing individuals to sue pharma. This is in Congress. This is at the federal level. They're trying to just exit this bad idea out at this point for people trying to sue or trying to get damages for harms or deaths. They want people to actually be able to do like any other product in the United States. This bill cuts across political lines. It cuts across all types of ideologies in America. It aligns a lot of people behind it.
We should all be watching any individual that votes against this push by Rand Paul to put liability back on the manufacturer. If you believe in these products, if you're lining up for 72 of these things, it should bother you that they want to be able to injure you and not be sued. Because remember, they injured you with drugs every day. All those side effects that are written, they get lawsuits all the time. They pull drugs all the time and the industry survives. What is it about vaccines they don't want to just sit on the same playing field as drugs? Honestly, ask yourself that. This is massive. Can you imagine if we managed to see the 86 Act taken down so that vaccines enter a free market system, which is the heart of how America works, how a republic works, how a democracy works. You should be wringing your representatives off the hook that if you do not support this bill that Rand Paul's put forward, then I will never trust you again, and I will never vote for you again.
There you go. Great excerpt from High Wire. Thank you, Del. And Jeffrey Jackson. Fabulous. So you've got the link for that. And then another short clip from the awesome Nick Holscher from McCullough Foundation. He's a public health guy, an epidemiologist, been publishing extensively about all of this, and particularly about the carnage of the genocide jab, the murder weapon, the poison death shot. He's been relentless in publishing data about that. So let's listen to this. Let's see what he has to say.
If we want to make America healthy again, this bill has to pass. We're not going to be able to do it if it doesn't. Because since 1986, through the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, the vaccine makers and the vaccine cartel have had full liability protection against all injuries, deaths, disabilities, autism, chronic diseases, you name it. They get away with it and nothing happens. And so if this bill passes, they won't get away with it. They'll have to pay out all of the damages and lifetime amounts of damages, particularly for kids with autism, and they will go bankrupt. And they will be forced to make safer vaccines. They won't be able to roll out untested injections anymore. If we want to make America healthy.
So let's contact your state senators. You have 2. S3853 and support that bill. Let's look at Rand Paul himself. Again, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think overall he's done a lot of good things, and certainly an advocate, as am I, of fiscal responsibility and reduced government spending, as was his dad, as is his dad. But anyway, I'll give you the link here to his own announcement about this bill. I'm just going to pop this onto the watch page. There you go. And here it is. So he is a state senator from Kentucky. This just came out a couple of weeks ago, and it is called the End the Vaccine Carve-Out Act. And this is time for you to contact your senators about this. Legislation to remove special liability protections that shield manufacturers and administrators from civil claims when Americans are harmed. This was co-sponsored in the House by dentist Paul Gosar in Arizona, and also co-sponsored in the Senate by Mike Lee in Utah. So this would end this. So pretty big deal. I'm not unaware that this will be an uphill battle, but anything worth doing in life is challenging, and we get stronger because of meeting that challenge. But it's a pretty big deal. We've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about this bill for the last, 26 years. I've been speaking nationally about the dangers of vaccines. And this is a pretty big deal. So let's support that. Contact your state senators wherever you are. I know we have some listeners outside the U.S., then just your thoughts and prayers to advance this, this important bill. All right, so that's that. This is this is on the Facebook page, and more good news. This is more good news. I like to talk about the good news as well, and I'll give you the link here. This is from Amy McBride, who I follow. She published some great news. In Florida, the great state of Florida, the health freedom and otherwise freedom state of Florida, which is receiving millions of sane folks fleeing tyranny in many American states, like my old home state of New York. They've been receiving millions of people who want to just be free and not be taxed into oblivion. Anyway, and with the greatest Surgeon General, State Surgeon General of all time, Dr. Joseph Ladapo is one of my heroes. He's amazing. And he would have been like the ultimate Surgeon General of the U.S., 100%. But anyway, he's awesome. And the SB 1756, the Medical Freedom Act, passed in the Senate Appropriations Committee in Florida by a 10-7 vote. So it looks like we have some anti-freedom folks or bought pharma folks on that committee. But regardless, it passed 10-7, and it returns the conscientious, or actually adds the conscientious exemption, the philosophical exemption in Florida. Currently, the Freedom State of Florida has religious and medical exemptions and allows conscientious objection, philosophical objection to vaccines. The medical mafia showed up, seeing a threat to their bottom line, and the brainwashed folks who have no interest in data evidence, statistics that vaccines do a lot more harm than good, are not necessary, not safe, and not effective in reducing mortality. So they did their best, but there are 16 states currently that have a philosophical or conscientious exemption. We lost several states in recent years, like Michigan, Vermont, New York, other states ended their philosophical exemption. And Florida is looking to get it back. Where I don't know if it ever was removed. They may not have ever have had one, but anyway, maybe they did. I'm not sure about. But that's a good thing. So I think now that it's out of committee, and a lot of good bills die in committee because of pharma influence, it got out of committee. So now it heads to the Senate for a vote. And there's no doubt that the great Governor DeSantis has done a great job with health freedom and COVID measures, nonsense. We'll sign that into law if it can get through the legislature. So it's a good thing. So if you know anybody in Florida, please encourage them to support SB 1756, the Medical Freedom Act, which would be great. And that's just going to bring more people into the state, which is good for them. I was just there this past weekend. It was awesome. Had a Beamer conference there and had a chance to hang out with some great folks. And also, more good news. The criminalization of raw dairy is ending. So the interstate ban on raw milk has officially been lifted today. And that's a good thing. Certainly states can do what they want, but at least from a federal perspective, this very old and terrible criminalization of very helpful raw milk has been lifted. So yay, that's one of our big MAHA updates. Thank you, Bobby, for that. And let's see. So that was that. Let's see what else I had. No, that was about it for that. But that's very, very good news. Very good news. All right. Other updates. Let's see what we had here. Where did it go? No, that wasn't it. Okay. That might have been about it with that. Okay. Good. All right. Next up, that's our good news updates on the health freedom front. Wanted to just take a little pause and let folks know we've got a pretty epic lineup coming up of guests who are coming up on the show here, which I'm really excited about. And I'll give you, for those who don't have it, the link. And thanks also to folks who've been supporting the show with contributions of any amount right there on our show page, michaelgaeta.com/MWM for Mondays with Michael. But wanted to just give you a quick update. Next week, we have a very wonderful individual, Dr. Daria Schooler, who's here on the show today, is listening in. She's kind of a unique combination. She's a physician, a pharmacist, and a neurosurgeon, and a natural health advocate. So she's going to be here next week. It's going to be a great conversation. After that, we have Dr. Brian Hooker returning for the fourth time to Mondays with Michael. He is the Chief Scientific Officer for Children's Health Defense. Always like talking to Brian. He's just a wonderful man, great scientist and a health freedom advocate. And then after that, super excited, we've got the author of one of my favorite books, Let It Flow, which is all about the importance of microvascular circulation, Dr. Edmund Kwan, who is a surgeon in my old hometown of New York City. He's going to be talking about the importance of microcirculation and the current state of modern medicine. Then we're going to hear from the week after that, at the end of the month, Laura Desmarais, who's a nurse and very passionate and effective medical freedom, health freedom advocate. And then a week later, we have Charles Coves, Australasia's passion provocateur. We're going to have he's a very colorful individual, really, and look forward to that conversation. Then we have the return of Scott Shara, who is the dad of Grace, his daughter, who was murdered in a hospital. And we're going to hear a kind of sad update on that. He lost that lawsuit, but he's continuing the fight for medical freedom and the end of medical murder, as he calls it, in our hospitals. Then we have Dr. Susan Downs coming to us from the Silicon Valley Health Institute and Occupy Health. Dee Dee Hoover, who was originally scheduled to be today. We're going to hear from her. She's wonderful, a fellow massage therapist on children's mental health, May 4th. And then one of my former students, very successful natural health clinician, Dr. Michael Priestman, who graduated our functional medicine program some years ago, has really exploded his work and his success and his practice since graduating our program. He found that very helpful to him. And so really a wonderful lineup. And we've got a few others who are kind of just looking to set dates with and just nailing down dates. We are going to be hearing, well, anyway, and then we're also going to be hearing from doing a pre-recorded show with a physician who has been publishing a lot on the harms of the vaccine schedule and neurotoxicity. He sees patients on Mondays, so we're going to be pre-recording that interview. So that'll probably be later in May. But anyway, just tell your friends, invite your friends, family, spread the word. We've got a great schedule coming up. And again, many thanks to folks who've clicked on this little button that says make a donation. I know some of you donate a bit every month. That really helps. And some of you make one-time contributions. Very much appreciated as well. Equally appreciated. And then if you click here and go to our watch page, right there at the top is where you see we have 168 shows right there, including last week's guest, Peter McCullough. And then you'll see Dr. Paul Thomas and many others who have been on the show. So you've got an amazing Judy Mikovits, just some very amazing conversations with amazing folks. Clinton Ohlers, Ray Dorsey, who authored Ending Parkinson's Disease. Dr. Ben Tapper, part of the Disinformation Dozen of Truth Tellers. Just an amazing guest that we've had on the show. You've Kevin Barry, and there's Brian Hooker again. So many great folks. Robert Scott Bell. Some very amazing folks. So please share our show page with your friends. And again, there's 168 shows in the archive right there of our show. We also have a Spotify page as well. I'm not sure. We just have a few shows there. But I wanted to give you that link. We are on Spotify with a few shows. We've got more to post there, but wanted to just make sure you knew about that. I'll give you the link to our Spotify page. And we are working on getting more broadly syndicated on Apple Podcasts and get the rest of the shows up on Spotify and YouTube and all that good stuff. Rumble, which is the uncensored platform. But you can certainly, I use Spotify all the time for listening to music and podcasts and things. So please tell your friends about our Spotify page, which I'll show you here. And we just started. This is my son's summer project or spring break project recently, where he started posting some older shows here, some of which are not in our Vimeo archive. So we've got a handful of shows there that you can go watch. So there's Pam Popper, Dr. Popper from Make Americans Free Again. Kevin Jenkins, Clinton Ohlers, Bernadette Pager, Brian Hooker. So we've got a whole bunch of shows here that are available for you on our Spotify page. So please spread the word on that, and easy to share our Spotify podcast page. All right, so that is that. Moving on into, we talked about the health freedom topic, which is very important. Next up, wanted to get into natural health and some very exciting research. We will certainly do that, Carol. Thank you. We are working on it. Getting our back catalog of 305 shows up on all the platforms. That's what we're working on. And yeah, thank you, Dr. Hinders, Colorado chiropractor. Bobby was just on Joe Rogan again. And there's my Bobby hat, Make America Healthy Again. And yeah, he just did I've just seen excerpts, haven't watched the whole interview yet, but he did a great additional, like, recent show on Rogan, which was just great. So very, very good. Well, there's just loads of great exchanges from the recent Bobby Rogan interview. Okay, and then we've got a question here from, oh, okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here. Yeah, so we're going to do that. Just going to cover this next bit on one of my favorite herbs. I want to do a little bit of natural health teaching today. One of my favorite herbs that I take every day, just 3 a day, is a Salvia miltiorhiza, Don Shen. What a great herb! And maybe I think I will do that. Let me just give, for those of you who are not familiar, just give you a short intro to this herb. If you're not familiar with it, it's one of my 3 favorite Chinese herbs, which says a lot because I've been practicing with Chinese herbs for my whole practice, so 36 years. And let me just give you a quick intro. This is a short excerpt from our course on Chinese sage, which I would highly recommend to you. It's really worthwhile. You'll learn a lot that you can apply to help yourself and your families, your patients, if you're a practitioner. One of the most important herbs to use for today's world, especially for folks who've gotten the murder weapon, the clot shot, the genocide jab. This would be a very important herb for a number of reasons. Cardiovascular help, blood clots, and cancer risk would be 3 immediate things. Also kidney health, which we'll talk about today. So anyway, this herb has been around for a long time. It's featured in the oldest herbal text in the world, or at least one of them, the Shennong Bansao, which is from the Han Dynasty. And it's been used for at least 3,000 years, actually. That's when the mythical emperor, the emperor deity, one of the 3, Shennong, the divine husbandman or divine farmer, wrote about this herb as one of the highest classes of herbs in Chinese medicine that nourishes destiny and, as he said, prolongs the years of life without aging. So it's a good thing. So anyway, we use the root. It is native to China and Japan, sometimes called red sage. And just going to give you a little bit of what it does. In Chinese medicine, this is a blood-moving herb that also calms the spirits, calms the Shen. Really helpful. So you sleep better, calms anxiety, helps to encourage a peaceful heart, and also fabulous for improving sleep. It's one of the herbs I talked about in the course on sleep that's going on right now. Oh boy, I've got another Zoom freeze. The latest Zoom update was not super awesome. A lot of freezes of the Zoom system. And so, traditionally in Chinese medicine, here it is. Oh, what happened? Oh, here it is. Okay. So in Chinese medicine, this is used in part as a blood-moving herb. We know in modern research, this herb improves microcirculation, one of the few herbs that does that. That affects the tiny vessels. That's what the beamer does, is it optimizes microcirculation. And this herb does that as well. We talked about both those things in our recent course, named after Dr. Kwan's book. We named the course Let It Flow, which is all about microcirculation. This is one of the best herbs for improving microcirculation and endothelial health. So in Chinese medicine, blood stasis, stagnant blood, results in menstrual pain, chest pain, abdominal pain, really any fixed pain anywhere, particularly sharp fixed pain. That's a sign of stagnation. Basically, most pain is due to stagnation. There is a small subclass of pain syndromes that are due to deficiency, but those are pretty unusual. It calms the Shen, which is the spirit, the mind, the heart, the restlessness, insomnia, palpitations. Since it's a blood-moving herb, we don't use it during pregnancy, but can certainly safely be taken up until there's a positive pregnancy test. And then you would discontinue. In Chinese medicine, we use typically 6 to 15 grams. 5 is okay. Typically 6 to 15 grams a day. So that's that. Now, in Western medicine, it's very broadly anti-inflammatory, modulates inflammation through several mechanisms. Kind of like turmeric, which is more famous, is operates into modulate or adjust inflammation through a variety of mechanisms. It's very, we call curcumin a promiscuous molecule because it interacts with so many different molecular pathways in the body to adjust or modulate inflammation. And the same is with Salvia miltiorhiza, danshen, red sage. This is one of the most important herbs for increasing cancer resistance. Again, in holistic medicine, we don't treat cancer, we treat the patient to improve their cancer resistance. And this is one of my favorite herbs for doing that. By the way, it's not on this slide, but this herb is superb to improve the effects, the beneficial effects of chemotherapy while reducing side effects. So it's an ideal herb to use at the same time as chemotherapy to both improve benefits and reduce side effects. So several mechanisms of increasing cancer resistance. It helps to oxidize cancer cells, which don't like oxygen. As we've said here many times, many cancer cells basically revert to a more primitive form of life, more akin to a plant cell. Cancer cells use anaerobic glycolysis or anaerobic fermentation to generate a very small amount of energy from sugar, glucose, for example, which is why they gobble up sugar very quickly because they're very inefficient. They don't like oxygen. So abundant oxygen, this is why herbs like danshen, home care devices like the beamer, light therapy, anything that improves microvascular circulation and improves oxygenation of the tissues is superb for improving cancer resistance. Flooding the cells with oxygen is a good way to do that. That's why exercise also improves outcomes. It also reduces the vascularization of cancer tumors, increases programmed cell death in cancer and precancerous cells. Strongly amazing. This is one of the most, my opinion currently, this is the most important single herb for cardiovascular health. Not diminishing the importance of garlic, ginkgo, hawthorn, other superb herbs for cardiovascular health. But I think if you had to pick one herb for cardiovascular health, and given my family history, it's one of the reasons I take it every day, this is a probably current thinking the single most important herb if you had to pick one. But I don't use it alone because I use a lot of garlic and ginkgo and hawthorn and others in my practice. But this is a phenomenal herb for the heart itself, like hawthorn, but also for the vascular system and the microcirculation, like ginkgo. And also, it's neuroprotective. So it's fabulous for improving brain health, reducing neurodegenerative disease, preventing neurodegenerative disease, increasing resistance to that, like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, autism spectrum, and more. It prevents plaque, plaquing of the brain, antifibrotic, antithrombotic, so it treats and prevents blood clots, which is huge, especially in folks who've had the murder weapon. Improves blood circulation. It has some adaptogenic activity, which means it increases overall resilience in a non-specific way. That makes sense. Most of the herbs in that highest class of herbs in the Shenlong Bancao, we would think of as adaptogens. Herbs like astragalus, schizandra, ginseng. These are very famous adaptogens. And that was that came out of Russian research in the 1960s on herbs. This is the middle of the Cold War after World War II, where the Russian scientists were trying to figure out how to improve the performance of soldiers, maybe with little sleep, improve their endurance, their mental ability, physical and mental endurance, and also radiation resistance. Because, using tactical nuclear weapons as well as strategic was a real possibility in those years of great tension between the USSR at the time and the United States. We were facing a very real possibility, this was no joke, of a nuclear conflict. And so the Russians were like, hey, if this goes down, how do we help our soldiers survive nuclear exposure while improving their battlefield and combat performance? And they did a lot of research on that. And that's where the term adaptogen, in part, came from. And and the very famous herb that they found spectacularly effective for all of that was something erroneously called Siberian ginseng, which is Eleutherococcus senticosus root, which is not Siberian and it's not ginseng, but it is Eleuthero as for short. Great, it's kind of an iconic adaptogen. Anyway, I digress. Adaptogens, however, are the most important class of herbs of all, easily, because they're preventative. It's better to prevent than treat. They increase resilience and help improve mental and physical performance. If that wasn't enough, this herb is superb in helping with high blood sugar and all kidney disease. They literally threw every kidney disease at this herb, and the herb helped. So I use it all the time for folks with kidney issues, kidney function problems, which are very common, and most of them are microvascular, because the kidney is basically a bundle of microvessels, as many of the organs are, but very much so. So in Western medicine, this is based on Western style research, not traditional Chinese medicine. The outcome studies, there's 50,000 studies on this herb and articles. Just tremendous. Diabetes, cancer, blood clots, chest pain, plaque, high blood pressure, poor sleep, anxiety, recovering from surgery or injury, kidney, anything, fatty liver, wound healing, it does it all. So it's just a great preventative herb. Most of the patients who've had the genocide jab, and I don't judge anybody for doing that because it was through a lot of coercion and fear and guilt. They were just sort of tricked or forced into getting the genocide jab. So I don't judge anybody for getting the shot, but I do want to help them. So making sure, I do recommend this herb routinely for folks who've had the murder weapon because of the increasing resistance to these turbocancers, these blood clots, myocarditis, cardiovascular disease, heart inflammation, vascular problems, all of that. Cognitive problems, all of this arising from the murder weapon, from the mRNA injections, and others as well for COVID. This is an ideal herb preventatively. It's cheap. It's very effective. It's supported by a lot more research than most pharma drugs. You know, we have at least over 50,000 articles just on this one herb, including, I think, about, was it 30,000 articles just on cancer or cardiovascular disease. So it's just an incredible herb. So so that all is to prepare for the first study I wanted to show today. It's kind of a lengthy intro. But this paper just came out 2 weeks ago in Journal of Natural Medicines. And this is, I thought, a very useful paper. And I'm going to put this on the watch page as well. And here it is. Okay. So let's just take a look at this guy. Boom. And there it is, Don Shen in the alternative treatment of diabetic nephropathy. This is one of the, so the herb helps with both the diabetes and the kidney damage often caused by diabetes. Most of the diabetic complications are caused by impaired microvascular circulation. Another reason why diabetics do really well with the Beamer, and we have published research on reducing diabetic ulcers in the feet, for example, caused by impaired microcirculation. Another reason to use this herb along with Beamer, which which I'm sitting on right now, the seat cushion. Here's the little box that controls it. I'm in the middle of the seat cushion treatment, which this is a great thing to have. It's called the B Sit. And for folks like me who sit at a desk a lot, I mean, I stay active, but I'm at a desk a lot working. This is ideal, absolutely ideal for folks who do desk work. Because as they say, sitting is the new smoking because of the, circulation issues. So this is just an abstract, but a good one. And diabetic nephropathy, which is kidney damage caused by impaired microcirculation of diabetes. The most prevalent microvascular complication of diabetes affects 20 to 40% of everybody with diabetes. That's a lot. That's about a third. And remains a leading global cause of end-stage renal disease, which means stage 4. They've added a stage 5 recently, but that means your eGFR is 15 or less when it should be 90 and never less than 60. When it hits 15, you're in what's called end stage or stage 4 or 5 kidney disease, which often at that point ends up with dialysis, which is not something you want to do. So this is a big deal, diabetic nephropathy. So current Western meds target single pathways. These approaches are limited by side effects and are incomplete in addressing the multifactorial pathogenesis, meaning many factors contributing to it, the diabetic nephropathy, including fibrosis, which is the replacement of functional tissue, we call parenchyma, with scar tissue, fibrosis. That's one aspect. Salvia miltiorhiza, traditional Chinese herb known for promoting microcirculation. Boom. That's reason enough to take it every day, a little bit. And I take 3 a day, just preventatively of the proper product, because there's a lot of shenanigans with Chinese herbs, with adulteration, quality issues, substitution, spiking with pharma drugs, all kinds of problems. exerting antithrombotic effects. Right there, boom. Everyone, the 5 billion people worldwide and 70 to 80% of the US that's taken at least one death shot, murder weapon, that's reason enough to take this herb. The antithrombotic and microcirculatory effects. Because they're pulling, 6, 8, 10, 12-inch blood clots, these gummy blood clots out of people on autopsy. This herb shows renoprotective potential in diabetic nephropathy by multiple pathways, modulating inflammation, reducing fibrosis. This herb also has been used, proven to treat pulmonary fibrosis in the lungs. And it's a NRF2 herb, which means it's broadly cellular protective, modulates TGF-beta and other pathways. This highlights this herb's therapeutic potential as a multi-target therapy for treatment of diabetic nephropathy. So that's just great. Just great. And check this out. They've got the pathways here, some of them that have been identified. Now, this herb has hundreds of compounds that have been identified so far. The most famous of these is this guy, tonsinone 2A, which is fat soluble. That's where most of the research is centered on this substance, this compound. But there are water-soluble compounds, such as the most famous of these is SAL-A, salvionolic acid A. Most of the research on the hydrophilic side is focused on that. And then there's a B. And then there's these lipophilic tonsinones. The tonsinones is where most of the research is focused. These are lipophilic, so fat-loving. Lipo meaning fat, philia, from the Greek word for a kind of a brotherly love, as opposed to eros, or romantic love, or agape, transcendent love. This is philia, which is more like brotherly love. So modulating, so whenever you see oxidative stress, that's ridiculous. That's not a thing. What you can just substitute whenever you see that term, oxidative stress, well, which is sort of a thing, but when it comes to therapeutics, this whole antioxidant nonsense is to be ignored. Suppressing oxidation is not how it works. It does work, however, by improving what we call cytoprotection, cellular self-defense. And notice we have glutathione modulation, reducing advanced sugar damage, advanced glycation end products, the nuclear erythroid factor 2 pathway, very important pathway. That's the master switch of cellular defenses activated by other famous herbs like turmeric, green tea, and rosemary. This herb is a NRF2 herb. That's huge. Then, in the functional medicine space, we've been talking a lot lately about mTOR. We've been talking a lot about nuclear factor kappa B, TGF-beta. These are a lot of very famous or recently famous pathways related to chronic disease. And this herb, again, it's a very broadly acting herb. And what you see here is only a small, or not a small, but a fraction of what this herb actually does in the body. Now, as I mentioned, this herb has been shown in dozens of studies, dozens, to treat every form of kidney disease that exists, all of them. There isn't a single kidney disease that this herb has not helped. Just want to underline that, because I've started using this herb a lot more, and I've been using it for 36 years in practice in the context of larger Chinese herbal formulas, but I'm using it a lot more based on the current research, tens of thousands of studies on this herb. This herb has attracted a lot of attention for good reason. And a lot of the research comes out of China because it's a Chinese herb. And the Chinese are not shy about putting resource into studying herbs from their ancient traditions of Chinese medicine. But there's research from all over the world, for sure, on this herb because it's so incredibly effective for so many different things. And I use it literally all the time. Most of my patients are taking this herb. I'll just put it that way. And for good reason. For good reason. This is just a superb botanical. It's very safe. It's designed in Chinese medicine to be used to preventatively to nourish destiny and, as Shen Nong said in his famous book, to increase the years of life without aging. So it's a longevity herb. Another reason, another reason I take it every day. So I'm a big fan, as you can tell, of this herb. I've just seen so much benefit to patients, which is, of course, the main thing, is helping the patient. And oh boy, just fabulous. Let me see if I can quickly find that kidney study. It was a review paper. I'm not sure where that went, but anyway, it just treated everything, like all kidney disease. And this kidney disease is becoming very common these days. Very, very, very common. Particularly with cardiovascular issues and kidney failure, impaired kidney function. Most of the patients come in with particularly over 60. Most patients are coming in with some degree of kidney impairment. So for you, what I would suggest is make sure you get an annual, if you're over 40, get an annual blood test that includes the most important marker of kidney function, which is estimated glomerular filtration rate, EGFR, which typically uses creatinine. There's a better version of that test that uses cystatin C, which is a better marker, actually, but it's a more expensive marker. Not every lab offers it. Most of them do, though. But you can order cystatin C separately as an excellent kidney marker. But EGFR, everybody should check. Now, it should be at least 90. Just turning on my B-sit again to treat the back. So make sure your EGFR is checked every year. Your target is 90 plus. There's no such thing as too high. And between 60 and 90 is borderline low. And below 60 is kidney disease. And I'll tell you, it just had, over the years, hundreds of patients where this got missed. And they didn't know they had kidney trouble, but they did, which is a major contributor to cardiovascular disease. For example, in conventional Western medicine, the way they evaluated cardiovascular disease risk until, this is before the statin scam began in the early 90s with Lipitor in 1992, which followed, that was a Merck drug that followed Merck's Mevacor in 1987, which is the first one. Lipitor was the blockbuster through the 90s and beyond. But before that, in Western medicine, it's just conventional, straight up Western medicine, they evaluated cardiovascular risk with urinary proteins. So they checked how much, did you have too much protein in your urine as a measure of cardiovascular risk. Why? Because the kidneys are a window into the vascular system. Kidneys good, vessels good, typically. Now, an even better indicator is your retina. Looking at your retina is an even better way to see how your microvessels are doing, your microvascular circulation is doing. That's also the best way to see how your brain is doing. Your brain microvasculature will show up very well as a proxy anyway, looking at your retina. So my suggestion is keep up with your eye exams, and also make sure you get a picture at each eye exam of your retina. And it should look good and should have nice, clear, distinct lines and not look mushy or diffuse or leaky. That's bad. It should look good. And I'm just looking for an example of what your retina should look like. And this is also what's going to be happening, perhaps, in your kidneys, is what shows up in your retina. So get your eye exam. Your retina should look like this. I'll show you what your retina should look like. This is my retina. And I got to get the new, I just had an eye exam recently. This was a couple of years ago. The new one looked equally good with no degeneration, no deterioration. That's the Beamer in part, and taking this Danshen herb every day. But this is what your retina should look like. Something like this anyway. And all I did was take out my phone and take a picture of the screen at the ophthalmologist's office. So this is what your retina should look like, folks. Clear, clean, distinct, tight lines. That's what you want. Here's your optic nerve, right, for example. But this is what you want. This is your macula, this guy right next to the optic nerve. Got some eyelashes down here. But this is what your retina should look like. And I've seen a lot of these things from diabetic patients where it looks terrible. These are wide, mushy, leaky, indistinct, diffuse, bad, no bueno, which definitely the research all supports this, that your risk of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, everything brain is massively worse if your microcirculation is impaired. So get your retina checked. And if they can't give you the file, then just take a picture of the screen. You'll see here, this is like a photo of a computer screen, the high-res screen at the doctor's office, the ophthalmologist's office, like Rand Paul. So anyway, Danshen is one of the best herbs in the world, easily, for optimizing your small vessel health. So, and this herb is one of the best for optimizing your kidney health and vascular health and cancer resistance and cardiovascular health. It's just really broadly awesome. All right, so I promised to show you the negative study that wasn't. This is very funny. I found so far 68 studies using the Beamer as the therapeutic intervention. Typically, PEMF devices have 0 using that exact specific device. This has 68, which is why medical practitioners worldwide prefer this device for helping patients clinically. And I just found actually, I just found a video of a German physician. I'll show you just because I just found it. Anyway, I'll give you the link here. This is a very funny study. There's very few negative studies on the Beamer because it's so effective for everything, because it improves the system under the systems, which is microcirculation. Just pop this study onto the watch page. And let's just take a look here. So the influence of pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and this is the most advanced form of it, which is the Beamer, the most proven, on cutaneous blood flow in healthy volunteers. Oh, fair enough. This was published in the Clinical Hemorrhology and Microcirculation a few years ago. This is November 2020. And they wanted to see what effect it had on skin microcirculation in healthy volunteers. Now, maybe inspired by earlier studies that showed tremendous benefit. And then, so they had 15 healthy folks in the study. They did 9 treatments over 21 days. So about every other day, they got 1 treatment. And they did, and that's what they did. They used laser Doppler, which is a common method of assessing circulation on the thigh. And all outcome parameters, including flow, mixed venous oxygen saturation, relative venous hemoglobin, these are wonderful indications of massively improved microcirculation. In other words, the arterioles driving blood into the capillaries, relatively deoxygenated blood coming out of the venules into the veins, all of it got better. Showed a significant increase during the experiment when compared to baseline values of the resting phase. So you're like, wow, that's great. But then they're like, well, comparing both groups, it was about the same. No significant difference. We found a significant increase in all measurement parameters of microcirculation, all got better during the study compared to baseline, with no difference between the Beamer group and the control group. And you might say, oh, wait a minute, that's a negative study. The Beamer didn't help. Are you sitting down? And these are very smart people who designed this study who, I don't know, maybe they had a little too much to drink alcohol-wise. They were not thinking straight at all. What was the control group? It was the same person's other leg. I kid you not. The control group was the same person's other leg. So that's why I say this is a negative study that really wasn't. This is a super positive study. And I'm just surprised they didn't ask themselves, well, why did both legs get better on all measurement when they only got treated on one leg? Maybe because it's a field. They even acknowledge it's a field. They must think it's like, I don't know, like a cream that has to be applied just to that area of the skin with no diffuse spread throughout the area. This was hysterical. So talk about like bad study design. The control group was the same person's other leg. So it's like inches away from the Beamer mat. I assume they used the B body, maybe it was the B pad. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But anyway, what this really shows is that it's a field that has that spreads from the device all throughout the area around it. So significant increase in all measurement parameters. And when you see an improvement in venous oxygen saturation, that's huge. That means the capillaries delivered, the cells received all the oxygen they needed so that the cup runneth over, and there's oxygen left over after the capillaries, after the cells got everything they needed. there was still oxygen left over in the veins. That's huge. By the way, that's what Otto Warburg stated as one of the requirements for cancer resistance, was that there was such a rapid blood flow that there would be leftover oxygen in the veins. And that's exactly what this did. This is why this is the ideal cancer resistance device. Again, doesn't treat cancer, doesn't treat anything, actually. It does not treat, prevent, or cure any disease. What it does do is it massively improves oxygen saturation in the tissues. And this study was yet, one of the many studies proving that. So, so anyway, that's this ridiculously designed study actually proves that this is a superb microvascular intervention. So what am I talking about? Here's Otto Warburg, won the Nobel Prize for his work on oxygen. So he had the metabolic theory of cancer, that cancer starts as a mitochondrial disease, a metabolic disease, before it becomes, and that leads to the genetic mutations of cancer. The first event is not genetic mutation, but mitochondrial, which relies on oxygen, dysfunction. So what Warburg himself said, all growing body cells must be saturated with oxygen. Boom, right there. By the way, in my field, in natural healthcare, functional medicine, there's a lot of poo-poo being spread around about Warburg, talking about pH, and people just outright lying, total lie, intentionally or not, I don't know, but people just lying about what Warburg said about pH. He never said ever in any of his writings that that cancer cannot grow in an alkaline environment. He never said that. The alkalizing cult, which thinks everybody is too acidic, everybody needs to be more alkaline, which is insanity. They claim that Warburg said, if you stay alkaline, you'll never get cancer. He never said that, ever, because it's not true. What he did say was this: all growing body cells must be saturated with oxygen. Exogenous carcinogens must be kept away. So oxygen saturation, what Warburg talked about, depends on robust microcirculation. The Beamer is easily, by far, the most effective microcirculation intervention in the world. Continuing on. Oh boy, got to zoom freeze again. Boy, oh boy. Okay. One sec. It's a live show, folks. Sometimes things don't work out, don't work properly, including Zoom. Anyway, let me get you his second thing. He had his 3 keys to cancer prevention. Check this out. This is awesome. To prevent cancer, this is his words, not mine. This is Warburg's words himself. By the way, he was Jewish in World War II Germany. And Hitler himself ordered the SS and the German military, the Nazi military, to leave him alone. Because he was harmless. He was just a scientist, sequestered away in his little cabin where he did a lot of his research. And he ordered the SS, for example, to not, throw Warburg in a concentration camp or something. And the SS showed up one day at his lab, and he was completely unafraid because, like in the mafia, he was made. He was a made man, meaning he was protected by a, decree from not being harmed or touched in any way. So he was just, hi guys, and then he went about. They visited, left, and he went about his work. But anyway, here are his words of what was needed to prevent cancer. And he was very clear. If you could accomplish this, most cancers would be prevented. Cancer is in part a disease of hypoxia, and that's a fancy term for not enough oxygen in the tissues. Starving the mitochondria of oxygen needed to run metabolism. So first, to prevent cancer, first to keep the speed of the bloodstream so high that the venous blood still contains sufficient oxygen. What a great metric, that there's leftover oxygen in the veins, meaning these cells have got all the oxygen they need from that very rapid blood flow. So that's why exercise improves cancer resistance, and the best circulatory intervention of any kind in the world is the Beamer PEMF device or PEMF type device. Second, to keep the concentration high of hemoglobin in the blood. With my patients, I aim for 15 for hemoglobin. Most folks are below that. And with a little bit of dietary intervention, with nutritional and herbal intervention, we get there to that 15 or so, or even a little more. And then he talks about adding enzymes in the diet. So that is that. And by the way, this is the most effective device in the world for improving microcirculation. It says here 64. I just found some more, 68 now that I found. And I just met a colleague in Tampa at the Beamer meeting this past weekend, and he showed me several more. He's like, I said, I found 68 studies. He said, I think there's a lot more than that. I'm like, oh. He said, here you go. See if you don't have some of these. And I gave it a first glance, and there are studies I didn't know about. Some of them are in German that I have to translate. But I think there's going to be, we're going to see some more than 68 studies so far. So anyway, this is, and super exciting. I'm personally excited about this. They're coming out with a dog Beamer for the dog and cat, whatever, small pet. There's a horse unit, but now there's a dog unit coming out, which is going to be totally amazing. It's going to be a game changer. So that'll be available August 1st. We just found out. So more on that to come. But anyway, this study was great. Total success. Ridiculous study design. And that's true of there's a few negative Beamer studies. They're all, so far, that I've seen due to bad study design. So if you go to this page, michaelgaeta.com/PEMF, you will see what I'm talking about. And even if, anyway, so you'll learn a lot here on this page. And as well as how to get one is on this page. Talk to our team member, Cynthia. She's amazing. Wonderful lady in Texas. Very smart. MBA. And she will help you get the device. And also right here is our weekly class schedule. We do classes every week for free on mostly people, some horses. And there it is. So lots of great stuff. And we've got our medical symposium, which I spoke at. I'm on the medical advisory board. Very honored to be part of the group of 6 healthcare folks globally that are on this board. 4 in North America, 2 in Europe, 6 total. And then you'll also see on this page how to get one. Just contact Cynthia. There's the info. And we've got a very extensive training, onboarding, educational program And then 4 Thursdays, mark your calendar, 4 Thursdays for our monthly class on microcirculation, human health with my buddy Lori Grace. And it was even featured in Epic Times. Here's an article from Epic Times on the Beamer, which is pretty cool. So anyway, it's a wonderful home care device. It's designed to be used at home for 8 minutes twice a day. And, you know, all I have to say is every patient who's gotten one has been 100% happy. Everybody loves it. And it's cheap compared to other type of devices in this category. It's cheap. I'll show you an example of that. And, you know, it's an investment for sure, but, you know, you also spend a little extra money on eating that healthy foods and things. But just to give you a sense, and then we'll move on to our next subject. Check this out. This is the, whatever this thing is, Tesla Fit, PEMF, $20,000. You might think for 20 grand, it's got to have like dozens of studies supporting the use of this exact device. No study, not even one, anywhere in the literature. Here's something called the PEMF 120, $21,000. You might think it'd have loads of research on it. Not even one study. And then this is something called a Pulse XL Pro, 31 grand. And good luck carrying that around the house or your clinic. 35 pounds. Looks like it belongs in an auto body shop. 31 grand. You might think for $31,000, you'd have hundreds of studies supporting the use of this super expensive device. And plus you have to take another thousands of dollars worth of weekend trainings just to learn how to use the darn thing. The Beamer, I could teach it to you in about 3 minutes, maybe less. 31 grand, you might think, wow, it's got to be hundreds of studies on this thing. Zero, not even one, using this exact device. So far, I found 68 studies on the Beamer. So, and it's 6 grand instead. Here's the pricing. It's very inexpensive. And there's financing and zero interest credit cards and all kinds of things. This is extremely affordable. $5,500, $5,900. They're giving these things away, basically, compared to these other devices that have no research, not even one study. So anyway, that's what I use in practice. That's what I use myself. I'm on it at the moment right now. With the desk unit, and the dog is coming out August 1st, which is going to be awesome. All right, so that's that. Get that device. You'll be very happy you did, as all my patients are. They're delighted because they feel better and they treat the whole family. And it's just 8 minutes twice a day. All right, we're going to jump into questions now for our next segment here today on Mondays with Michael. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Yes, thank you, Dr. Hinders, Joe Rogan, RFK. Dr. Schooler, kind of a unique thing. You're going to hear from her next week, I think. Is it next week? Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, next week. Awesome. So we got a question here. Any specific natural treatment for metastatic neuroendocrine tumor, formerly called carcinoid tumor? Tumor cells are not responsive to allopathic chemotherapy and radiation since they are slow-growing cells. Yeah, I've got a lot of ideas about that. One of which, Daria, is Danshen, which is one of the most important herbs for any cancer of any kind anywhere in the body, because it's enhancing endogenous cancer resistance. We're not treating the cancer, we're helping the body clear it itself. Oh, and that brings up another thing. Well, where do you find this thing? Well, I can just tell you, I started studying Chinese herbs 37 years ago and have been appalled at the just sheer amount of shenanigans that are done to Chinese herbal products around the world. And there's a lot of A lot of poo-poo out there, I just have to say. I'll give you this link on the watch page as well, and in the Zoom chat for our store, michaelgaeta.com/store. And here it is. So you'll see on this page, I located a pharmaceutical GMP certified Danshen product. So I've got a 26-minute video on this herb for folks who are less familiar with it. 4 studies on this herb, cardiovascular, 2 herbs on cardiovascular, 1 on anxiety, the other on cancer. That's part of the, here, why don't we just do it now? Just for kicks. Just for some giggles here. And it's going to come up as a saved, here it is, Salvia miltioriza. Google, this is Google Scholar. And yep, there it is. 60,700 articles. Let's take out the citations. Okay. So about 54,000 articles on this one herb. Now you might say, oh, you know, I only pay attention to review articles, which aggregate, you know, data from lots of studies, a study of studies. Let's just look at the review articles. Almost 10,000 review articles. That means that's aggregating or reviewing the literature from a pile of different studies. So review articles are very important, as are meta-analyses. And so having almost 10,000 review articles and a grand total of 53,007, I mean, this is one of the most proven interventions in the world of any interventions. And by the way, you look at any drug, like name a drug and put it in here. Folks want to call out a drug, we'll look at it now. But this is an enormous amount of evidence. So this is like nobody's opinion. This herb is incredibly helpful. And it's cheap. So this is pharmaceutical grade, pharmaceutical GMP certified, meaning no adulteration, no substitutions, no heavy metals, no toxins, ultra verified, using the same pharmaceutical standards as pharma uses for their drugs, which is much harder to do with an herb, by the way. It's much easier to make a pharma drug to pharmaceutical GMP than it is to make an herb to pharmaceutical GMP. And this is where you get it. It's cheap. It's this type of, this is like the cheapest insurance policy of all time. Less than 50. That's what I take. There's 3 a day. For active treatment with patients, I'll typically use 6 a day or more. It's extremely safe. And that's what I use. Typical is 3 a day prevention, 6 a day, which is less than $1, active treatment. And what a great herb. And I tell you, the feedback we've gotten from patients and others who have ordered this herb has been wonderful. They sleep better, they feel better, they're calmer, they have more energy, their hands and feet warm up because their circulation's improved, their coronary calcium score goes down. A lot of things get better. It's a very, very safe herb. And fabulous for all the things we talked about. Cancer, cardiovascular, kidney, fatty liver is 1/3 of the country, by the way, has a fatty liver, almost, about 28% of the country has a fatty liver. Diabetes and prediabetes, that's 1/3 of the country. So a really important herb, folks, right there. So that'll be part of it. The other thing I would recommend, Daria, is some nutritional support, which would be, I think, very helpful. And that's a big subject, but I'll give you just a couple of ideas. And this would be one of them. I'll put it up on the screen for you, give you a link in just a moment. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, here it is. Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's see. This is Neuroplex. I use this for a lot of cognitive issues, but also nervous system issues as well. Neuroplex. I usually use 3 a day. They recommend 2. That's fine. I usually use 3. And the other thing is the protomorphogen for the nervous system, neurotrophin, would be, I think, very useful. What I would use in a case like this, for sure. And you'll find this all in our store for folks who are curious. And then we have other herbs that are just great for improving cancer resistance, like Chinese wormwood. I'm writing a book on this herb. This herb won the Nobel Prize in 2015 along with ivermectin, both anti-parasitic agents. Both happen to be great for cancer resistance. So Chinese wormwood, and I'll show you again, a lot of quality issues like any Chinese herb is definitely the case with this herb as well. So again, pharmaceutical GMP certified herbs, what I tend to use in practice, not the only good herbs, but a guarantee, an absolute guarantee of herbal quality is pharmaceutical GMP certification, which most herbs don't have. So that's that. So that's another herb. Use as on the label, a week at a time. Another great herb for cancer resistance, and we have the artemisinin and other artianuin B and many other compounds in there. Another fabulous herb for cancer resistance are the thymoquinones naturally occurring in black cumin seed. So I'll give you a link to that as well. That's another herb I would use for sure in this situation. And then we have a couple of formulas I mentioned that are specific to the nervous system. And then in terms of general support for improving cancer resistance, very important formula is Immuplex, which is right here. I'll give you that link as well. I use this for really every cancer patient, helping support the immune alliance of liver, spleen, thymus, and bone marrow. Very helpful. And then lifestyle factors like exercise, sun exposure, short of getting a sunburn, exercise, intermittent fasting, extended monthly fasting of 36 to 72 hours, as well as daily intermittent fasting of 16 hours or so. These are all very, very specific things that really work and improve outcomes with cases like this. That's what I've seen. And again, not treating the cancer, we're treating the patient to improve their own cancer resistance. So that's that. So there's a few ideas for you. And okay. So hopefully that helps. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Dr. Hinders, I'm not sure what the question is. Which one, 3? I don't know what that means, but if you could clarify, I'd love to answer the question. Pam Levin, one of our faculty members in our school, we're kind of teaching a class together on women's hormone health, which is a wonderful course. So I'll give you a link to that as well. And again, use your Mondays with Michael discount. It's a great course. Very, very well-reviewed course as well. And I'll just put this on the screen for you. This is, here it is. Yep. This is from Pam Levin and myself. This is Natural Female Hormone Care. If you are a woman or know any women, or if you're a practitioner treating women, this is an essential course on on that subject, natural female hormone kale. I'm kind of reading the audiobook version with commentary in this course. It's really good, really good. So this is highly recommended. Natural female hormone care on our website, michaelgaeta.com/course, or just go to michaelgaeta.com and click on courses. So a little bit about one of our teachers, Pam Levin. Can find access to your show on February 9th. Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I don't know what's going on with that. Let me see if we can find out for you and see where that show went. That's going to be on our watch page, michaelgaeta.com/watch. And it's not here. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I need to figure that out. I'm not sure. I will ask Andrea about that. Thanks for letting me know. And we will work on that. Hopefully we have it. We should have it somewhere. We did record it. Okay, but that was a great course with Dustin Strong in the current course on sleep as well. And if you want to study with Dustin Strong, he's taught, I think at this point, 10 courses for us, or 9 or 10 courses, including the current one. And I'll give you his faculty page where you can see all of his courses and get a discount, MWM10. It's right there on our faculty page. All right, so there's that. And let's see what else we have. So thanks, Pam, for letting us know. Okay. Oh, last week on the High Wire, Michael Nels. Yeah, he's big on vitamin D, doses that I don't recommend. He's going for like 120 vitamin D for everybody. I'm not a huge advocate of that, but Michael's done a great job exposing the COVID PSYOP, the global PSYOP known as COVID. So he's a German psychiatrist, perhaps, I think. But great guy. I really like his work. I don't agree with everything, but that's okay. But he's done a lot of good work. And he talked about lithium. That's excellent. Yeah. What I would, the lithium formula that I recommend, which we've had great results with here in the clinic. And if you haven't had a consult recently, just go to michaelgaeta.com and schedule a consult or an evaluation. But you'll see in our store, what I recommend to patients is, as for a lithium and brain product, is right at the top. Great Minds Mushrooms. Click on that link. Go to lithium. There's the version with lithium. Great Minds Mushrooms with lithium. So 5 milligrams of lithium orotate. That's important that it's orotate, not carbonate. And lion's mane mushroom and lemon and blackstrap molasses. That combination seems to be very synergistic, and you'll see that in our store. Okay, so yeah, great. I look forward to listening to Nels on lithium. That's great. Okay, on the High Wire. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, there was a kind of controversial thing with ensuring ongoing access to glyphosate, which is horrifying, one of the most damaging chemicals in the world. And, that I'm not into that. And I understand Bobby responded by saying we need it for now so these farmers don't go out of business while we're transitioning out of glyphosate into regenerative farming, which they're spending $50 billion on regenerative farming. So I think his explanation is that it's a temporary necessary evil while we're transitioning out of it. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that, because it's a catastrophic herbicide and antibiotic. So I'm not defending glyphosate at all. I'm just reporting on Bobby's response to the mucho outcry, the strong opposition among his base to that, protecting glyphosate. And, Bobby successfully sued Monsanto and got his client, the farmer, and maybe it was a class action, $253 million judgment against Monsanto. So obviously he hates glyphosate. This might be one of those cases where there's a difference between what Bobby wants to do and what he's allowed to do, maybe. But I'm certainly not defending glyphosate in the least and just reporting on what Bobby said in defense of the glyphosate liability exemption, which I think is bad. But he's like, we got to protect these farmers while we're transitioning out of it. I don't know. I'm not sold on that. I'm not totally buying that, but I understand, that's what he was saying. So, and I think part of the reason for that was Bobby won the lawsuit against Monsanto because there's so much evidence that glyphosate is catastrophic. So anyway. Oh, good. There you go. This Dr. Schooler with Bobby Kennedy talking about Beamer. That's great. Very good. And yep. Dr. Schooler put one of the studies we looked at in our course there. It's a great one. Carol, could it help with fibrosis in limbs caused by lymphatic dysfunction? Absolutely. And it's because the device definitely improves lymphatic flow. And we have the evidence of that. I'll give you a link to the research on that. Also on the watch page. There you go. And we know that is actually the most dramatic improvement of all the markers they used in this study. This was dramatic. The most dramatic improvement actually was in lymphatic circulation. So we have a dramatic increase in venular oxygen with the Beamer compared to other devices. Number of areas just saturated with oxygen, vastly superior to any other device with a lasting benefit. Other devices have no lasting effects. The Beamer has at least 24 hours of residual effect. Venular flow, dramatic increase in venular flow. And here it is. To answer your question, Carol, here is initial lymph flow, which means lymphatic capillary circulation. And look at that, a 32% increase in initial lymph flow, which is a lymphatic capillary flow. The best device of other devices was 7 or 8%. So, not even close. And again, a residual benefit after 24 hours with no treatment with the Beamer of about 17%. So it's pretty dramatic. So the answer is yes, a major, massive, enormous yes for lymphatic anything, because we know there's the evidence. Will Donshin help with renal failure and dialysis? 100%. 100%. Now, if patients, I've gotten 2 patients off of dialysis by helping regenerate the kidneys naturally, helping the kidneys work better, in other words. And this is before I was using Donshin as widely as I am. So this is just with formulas like Renifood, for example, which is spectacular for improving kidney function. I've helped patients not need dialysis after just 3 weeks of Renifood. It's not the only thing I'll do, but one of the things I'll do. And there's the link to Renifood. It's incredibly effective. But what I have seen is that both these patients that didn't need dialysis anymore had only recently started. If a patient's been on dialysis for 20 years, it's going to be a difficult thing. I'd still use the herb because it does a lot of other things. But if you're looking to prevent dialysis, it's going to be extra effective from what I've seen. If they're already on dialysis, still a good idea, But if they've been on dialysis for a long time, it's going to be less likely that they're going to not need dialysis anymore. They may need it long term. So, so the short answer, Daria, is yes. With capital, all capitals, all caps, yes. Christy, hi, Christy. Prostate cancer and alcoholic with the jab. Yeah, for sure. So it's everything we talked about, the Danshen, Chinese wormwood, black cumin seed, other herbs that help improve outcomes with cancer is green tea, ginseng. On the nutrition side, what we talked about, Immuplex. Whey protein also selectively depletes cancer cells of glutathione while improving healthy cells, glutathione. And yeah, and then certainly Danshen, because so they had the jab, they might be getting blood clots, plus a lot of research on prostate cancer with this herb, and also resveratrol. A lot of research on resveratrol with, and we're getting close to time, so maybe ask me again if you want me to pull up the specific studies. But resveratrol, lots of evidence on prostate cancer. Lots of evidence with Chinese wormwood and Danshen on prostate cancer specifically. So I would strongly recommend using a whole plant resveratrol product. I'll show you the one that I use for every cancer patient, as well as myself preventatively, is Herbal Vital. What a great product. Specifically as the best naturally occurring, non-synthetic, non-fractionated source, full spectrum of resveratrol. So that's what I would recommend, and that's right here is the Herbal Vital. I typically take 3 a day. Sometimes I only have room for 2, but this has several herbs which we know absolutely massively improve cancer resistance, 100%. So that's Japanese knotweed root is the best natural source of resveratrol. For a cancer patient, I'm going to recommend 3 to 4 a day. Ginseng, the research on ginseng is very strong, improving cancer survival by up to 50%. And then you have other herbs that optimize glutathione, NAC, like milk thistle, grapeseed, there's circulation, ginkgo circulation. This is a great cancer resistance formula. It was really written and designed to help prevent the common disease of aging like cancer. And people feel better. They just feel stronger. Yeah. Okay. Yep, Terry, I'm with you. Stupidest article I've ever seen. Yep, I agree. That's why I said it's the negative study that wasn't. Yeah, number of papers on Nigella sativa health effects is thousands, tens of thousands on that herb. It's fabulous. Which crazy water? Yeah, let me see if I can get you a link. But there's a company that bottles, oh, here it is. Here it is. I'll give you the link. Coming your way. You can order it. You can order crazy water yourself online at drinkcrazywater.com. Drinkcrazywater.com. And it's right here. This is why it's called crazy water. It's the highest lithium content water, I think, in the country, maybe. Goes back to 1881. I drank this stuff in Dallas. The Crazy Water Company was there at our seminar that Dustin Strong put on. So we have crazy history, crazy experiences. Online store, so it looks like they will send you crazy water infused by Mother Nature, not some factory. Very crazy good and good for you. Yeah, so they have the whole history here of the lithium well with high lithium water been used for 150 years to help folks with mental illness. So there you go, drinkcrazywater.com. There is your website. All right, there you go, Dr. Hinders. And then let's see what other questions we have. Structured water. Hi, Debbie. You know, Tom Cowan has been talking about that. Basically, filtering the water, then restructuring it. You know, I think it's a good thing. I just don't have a lot of personal experience with it. But I would refer you to Dr. Tom Cowan, among others. I use the Beamer to charge water. And that's another thing you can do, is to have water that is energetically charged. Again, it's not the same, but it's another way to do the water treatment. It's a different type, but it can be helpful. One of our faculty members here, Charlotte Keikel, who's a brilliant herbalist, German medicine, New German medicine, a lot of other things. She does recommend that water structuring situation. So I think it's a good thing. I just can't say I know a lot about it, and I haven't tried it myself. But anyway, I'm looking on his website. I'm not really finding that anymore. I guess I'm just missing it. So, but other folks, I'm sure, are doing that, have structured water solutions if you're interested in that. So, yeah. So I think it's a thumbs up based on Charlotte's recommendation, Debbie. Yeah. Dosage of lithium is 1 a day. How easy is that? 1 a day. michaelgaeta.com/store, right at the top, because I really like it. Great Minds mushrooms with lithium. Get the lithium one, and it's literally 1 a day. 1 a day. It's horrible stuff. Yes. Thanks, Debbie. I did find it a bit of a challenge to drink, but I find it very easy to take Dustin's Great Minds with lithium, because I really like the lion's mane. It's fabulous. Debbie, hi. What to do to stop angiogenesis? Don Shen and Chinese wormwood have been demonstrated to help do that. The paper that I just showed you was on the Don Shen. Not the only thing that positively confirmed to reduce neoplastic angiogenesis. And I would refer you to our course on this herb. It's awesome. It's very inexpensive. You'll know more about this herb than most practicing health professionals with our Don Shen course. It's one of my favorite herbs, and it's right there in the chat. And use your discount MWM10 for this herb. And let's see, where did our watch page go? Here it is. I'll put the link on our watch page as well. But this is the course, Chinese Sage, Ancient Herb for Modern Times. And this will probably be my second book after the Chinese Wormwood book, because I'm a big fan of this herb. It's just amazing. And this is a great course that I know you'll enjoy. Okay, so that's that. Oh, which number? Still not sure what that means, Donna. I'm sorry. Which number do you drink? I'm not sure what that means. I apologize. I'm not understanding your question there. What number do you drink? I'm not sure. I do drink a fair amount of water and charge it oftentimes with the Beamer, because that's a good thing. It feels better when I drink Beamer charged water, and maybe that structured thing is good to do too, you know. Again, just heard from Charlotte that she does that. So maybe it's a good idea, you know. All right. But yeah, if you want to clarify the question, still not sure. Oh, which one do I drink? I just, I'm not really sure. I just tried it once, a grand total of once on one day. So I don't really know which one to drink. So I would just look at their website and see which one looks good to you. But it does taste a little different than regular water. So that's that. Okay. All right. Now we finished the um, chat box questions. Now we're going to head over to our watch page. What supplements could you eliminate by taking this supplement? Linnell is asking. Hi, Linnell. Let's see. I'm not sure which supplement you're talking about. I assume it's Don Shen. I don't know because I'd have to evaluate what supplements you're taking, which would be a little outside of our scope today. But what I would suggest, go over to michaelgaeta.com/patients and just schedule a simple 30-minute consult or a complete evaluation. And then one of the things I do for patients is to go through every supplement and your entire normal diet to come up with a plan with lab testing, diet, lifestyle, supplementation, herbal medicine, home care devices, like the Beamer, like light therapy, that are just fabulous. People love them 100% of the time. And you'll see on our patients page, michaelgaeta.com/patients, you can schedule a phone or video appointment. Or if you're in Colorado or want to come to Colorado, it's a great destination town. But you just click on phone or video appointment. You can schedule a complete evaluation or just a simple 30-minute Q&A to answer whatever questions you have. That will be a very individual question based on a person's individual needs and what they're currently working with. So sorry, I can't be more specific. And that was the question we had on our watch page. All right. So that's all the questions. So I think we've done it for today. And there it is. And yeah, please join us next week. We will be I'll be in conversation with a wonderful physician and pharmacist and neurosurgeon, Dr. Darius Schooler, who's become a regular attendee on the show, which I'm really super delighted about. But we're going to have a great conversation next week, followed by Dr. Brian Hooker, Children's Health Defense, Edmund Kwan, the surgeon who loves microcirculation, and more. And thanks, everybody, for being here today. Blessings to you and yours. So glad you're with us today. We're all done, but if you want to stick around, I'm going to play some piano music for you. Something I haven't played in a while, but I've been feeling extra patriotic this past few days with liberating Iran from tyranny. So I'm going to play you a patriotic song that came out when I was in high school, which was a couple of years ago, I have to confess. That was more than a few years ago. But this song came out in 1984. I believe I was a sophomore or junior, something like that, in high school when this came out in the early 80s. From Lee Greenwood, famous country music guy, wrote this very wonderful song, and it's called "God Bless the USA." I really like this song, and I like playing it. I haven't played it for you in, I don't know, over a year, I think. But I thought it'd be a great song to play for you today. And again, blessings to you and yours. So glad you were with us today. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next week. Okay, let's get the sound going here. No Bentley today, if you're wondering. I'll have him back with my daughter next week. And blessings to all. All right, see you next week. Okay, we got the sound. That's important. And it's on. Okay. It's my patriotic songbook. And let's see, here it is. Okay. Okay. God
Wonderful,
bless.
Doc.
Thanks, Daria.
Always cheer me up.
Thank you. Look forward to our chat next week. So thanks,
Absolutely.
everybody. Blessings to you and yours. Indeed, God bless the USA. One of my favorite songs ever, and happy to share it with you today. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you later for our next sleep class later today with Dustin Strong, and I'll be there as well. And let's see what else. I don't think there's anything else until next week other than our class tonight, unless you're in our functional medicine program. But anyway, have a great week, and blessings again to you and yours. Thanks for being here today. So just a delight to be with you week to week.